What's up everyone, and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'll be reviewing what is probably the most well-known Air Canada Realtoy model, and that is the Air Canada mint green livery Airbus A340 Airport Playset. So this model is one of 7 total Air Canada Realtoy models that were produced, with the others being the 747 and A340 in the retro or 90s livery design. And then there is the A340 in the mint green livery and the 777 in the mint green livery. There are 2 versions of the 777 in this livery, but they pretty much are very similar. The main difference is some different color patterns here on the engines, on the cabin windows and stuff, and on the tail design. And then there is another 2 versions of the newest version of the Air Canada 777 with the newer Air Canada livery design. There is the stickers version, which is the one that I have, and then there is the newly updated, fully painted version. That was a model that was newly introduced just a couple years ago when Realtoy started pretty much updating some of the common Realtoy models to be fully painted and no longer having stickers. So the mint green Air Canada A340 is definitely one of the most interesting A340 models that Realtoy has produced, or just Realtoy models in general, just because of the history behind this particular model. So not only the fact that this model was one of the only very few A340 models that have been produced over time, but also the fact that this was the only A340 model that has been produced in all forms of Realtoy models. It was produced as a single plane, normal airport playset, in-flight airport playset, and even the large airport playset. It was produced from the early 2000s until sometime around 2008 when Air Canada had retired the A340 in their fleet. So another interesting thing about this model is I'm pretty sure that at some point there were quite a few Realtoy collectors that believed this model was a fictional Realtoy model, because not many people actually knew that the A340 was operated by Air Canada, or that Air Canada had the A340 in their fleet at some time. So Air Canada operated a total of 15 A340s from 1995 until 2008. In 1995, they had gotten their first A340-300, and they operated a total of 13 A340-300s from 1995 until 2008. And then the other 2 A340s were A340-500s, which they had gotten from 2004 and only flew for 3 years until 2007. So the A340-300 was replaced in 2008 by the 777-300ER, and the A340-500 was replaced by the 777-200LR. So Air Canada had originally operated their more retro Air Canada livery design from around 1988 until 2004. 2004 is when Air Canada had first introduced their mint green livery on all of their aircraft. They had flown that livery, or I believe they painted that livery on their aircraft from 2004 until 2016, when they then had introduced their newer and current Air Canada livery design. So the mint green livery is still operated and used on quite a few aircraft in Air Canada's fleet today, but it is no longer being painted. The last one was painted in 2016 when they had introduced their newer livery design. So over time, the mint green livery has slowly been replaced by aircraft being repainted into the newer livery or just being retired. So 2004 until 2016, when the mint green livery was pretty much painted on the aircraft, is definitely the best guess to when exactly these models were produced. So the A340, the mint green livery A340, was most likely produced from around 2004 until 2008, once Air Canada had retired their last A340. And then they painted their mint green livery on the 777 from probably around 2009 until 2016, once they had introduced their newer livery design. So now going back to the Realtoy model, I got this playset off of eBay in 2021 for around $30. So this is definitely a model that I would say that the plane itself is not too rare, but more of the condition of it and how exactly it was produced, or the type of form that was produced, is definitely a lot more rare than the actual model. So like I said at the beginning of this video, this model is probably the most well-known Air Canada Realtoy model, and also one of the longest produced A340 models, with the most longest one I would definitely say is the SAS A340. That's a model that has been in production since the mid-2000s, maybe around 2010. The SAS A340, I believe it is still being produced. Maybe it was discontinued, but it is a model that you can get off of eBay UK, or at least from the UK, and I would definitely consider that to maybe be the most well-known A340 model. But the Air Canada mint green A340 is definitely probably in a close second to the SAS A340 for both of those reasons. But that pretty much is all the information for this model. So I'm starting off here for the review with the box. So the entire box pretty much is just white, and then it has the reddish orange coloring, the Air Canada coloring around the front part here. So we have Air Canada with their the maple leaf logo design there, airport playset, and then the rest of this language is French. The bottom has the newer Daron logo, diecast metal, new livery designs, and plastic parts. So as for the airport playset and for the single plane as well, there are the two different kind of versions of it. I believe the overall design is pretty much the same. I don't know if that has the French writing on it as well on the older version, but since this one has the newer Daron logo, this was one of the last few A340s that were produced when right before Daron had discontinued the mint green A340. The more common one or more well-known one is the one with the older Daron logo, I'm pretty sure, and even for the single plane as well. I'm not sure I believe the in-flight airport playset does have both. I'm not sure the large airport playset if it has both as well, or just the older one or just the newer one. But on the outline of where the clear plastic pieces is also with the line stripe for coloring on the reddish orange Air Canada logo livery design. And then there also is the Air Canada airport playset and then their maple leaf logo on each side of the box as well. And then on the back of the box, there is the Air Canada A340 boxer image with the Air Canada logo design on the top, airport playset, diecast metal, new livery designs, and plastic parts with the mint green A340 displayed there, and then the three playset vehicles. Daron logo down at the bottom with the trademark information there, and then the rest of that displayed on the bottom as well. This box art image, like I said on some other videos, I like how it covers the entire on the backside, most of the entire backside of the box. Sometimes the sizes between the box art image kind of varies. Sometimes it's more smaller, and other times it kind of takes up most of the box. I usually like it whenever it takes up most of it space because it has the image a lot more bigger, and you can actually see more of the plane. This one also does not have all of the signs displayed. It has the two generic, the cone and the triangle sign displayed there, but it does have all of the vehicles that are included in the playset. So that pretty much is all for the review of the box. So like usual, I will pause the video and take out the playset. So here is the mint green Air Canada A340 airport playset. So like usual, I didn't take out the signs because they are pretty much the same exact signs that come in most of the newer playsets. So starting off for the review of the plane. So up at the front, there are the A340 cockpit windows. I'm pretty sure that the cockpit windows on this model are the same exact ones that are on the A330 as well, because the fuselage is pretty much the same, and the nose of the plane is pretty much the same as the A330 model as well. The main difference is, of course, the wings, but other than that, I'm pretty sure at least the nose of the plane is pretty much the same as the A330 model as well. Behind the cockpit windows is the SkyTeam image, or the SkyTeam logo right there in front of the first cabin door, since Canada is a member of SkyTeam. Then there is the first main cabin door, and then the cabin windows throughout the plane, and then the second cabin door right underneath the C for the Air Canada logo design. The Air Canada logo design with the red maple leaf, the reddish orange coloring there. This was also the same Air Canada logo that was used on their more retro livery as well. So kind of a quick comparison here for between the older livery, the more retro livery, and the newer livery. The logo is pretty much the same. The coloring is slightly different. On the older one, it kind of looks more of a pinkish coloring, and then on the newer one, or the mint green one, has more of a reddish, or has more of an orange tone to it. But the logo design overall is pretty much exactly the same, with both of them being all caps. I mean, there might be some slight differences in the font, but overall the placement and all of it and the size is also pretty much exactly the same. The older livery also definitely reminds me more of a kind of a more modernized version, or the newer livery reminds me of a more modernized version of the retro livery. Air Canada's newest livery, it definitely kind of resembles it. A more modernized version of the older livery is kind of what I usually think of whenever I see their older retro livery. Is usually more simplified version, older version of their current livery, which is probably the look that they were going for as well. But the cockpit windows are pretty much the same on these ones as well. On the older liveries, they're definitely pushed further back. That's not really has anything to do with the model particularly. Really could just be a manufacturing thing. But the older livery A340 was also produced. This one was just produced just as a single plane and airport playset. I would consider this one to be the rarest Air Canada model. I've had it now for, I believe it's been 2-3 years I've had this model. Unfortunately, I didn't get it with any vehicles, box, or anything, and I did have to repaint part of the wings because there was some damage on there. But all the stickers are still included on the plane, and other than the slight damage to the paint on the wings, everything else is still in really great condition. Over time, I have seen a little bit more listings of this model, maybe two or something every year. I've seen listings for this model either sold or are being listed right away. But the model has become more well known over time, as for like 3 years ago, it was a model that no one was sure if it actually existed. But now that it is definitely known that it is a Realtoy model that exists, it's nice to have both versions of the A340, since these were the only two liveries that the A340 had wore when it was flying for Air Canada from 1995 until 2008. Both of the liveries that the A340s had used, all 15 of the A340s. So now going back to the mint green livery on the review, there's a third cabin window, or the third cabin door along the row of the cabin windows, and then the rear cabin door with the registration number C-FMWO. As far as I know of, this is not a real registration number. I believe C-FMWQ is one. It is a real registration number for a 767-300, or was a real registration number. But this one is not a real registration number. I don't know why they didn't just why Realtoy didn't just make one to have one of the registration numbers on the Air Canada A340 that they used to wear. I think a lot of Realtoy models that have fake real registration numbers, that's usually what I think about, why they couldn't just use one that was on the actual aircraft. But definitely is a question that really doesn't have an answer to, unless she specifically asked Realtoy for it. But anyway, then there is the maple leaf on the tail. The mint green livery is definitely my favorite version of the tail art design. Even the new livery is pretty much just the black background with the red tail and a circle on it. Pretty much kind of more like the logo design on the Air Canada actual logo, the circled maple leaf, pretty much just that on the tail and a black background. So the mint green livery has the most, in my opinion, the most unique tail art design. Kind of the comparison between the A340 and the 777 is definitely a lot different. The 777 has a lot more detail than the A340, and also you can tell between the color difference between the A340 and the 777. The 777 is a lot more turquoise, or has more of a vibrant color to it, while the A340 kind of is more of a light blue. The 777, I guess you could say this is also turquoise. Everyone says it's mint green. Compared to the 777 and A340, it definitely makes the A340 look more light blue than mint green. But, yeah, so comparison between those two, the logo placements on them are pretty much the same as well. And like I said before, kind of the difference between, there are two different versions of the 777 and the mint green livery, with the other one pretty much having some different coloring around the doors and on the tail design as well. I'm not sure if I don't think I have that model. I'll have to check. I do have an extra mint green A340, or not A340, but 777. I'll have to look and see if I forgot to check if that is the separate design, but I don't believe it is. But anyway, going back to the A340, on the bottom, on the undercarriage of the plane, there's the Realtoy logo on the main landing gear. No manufacturing date. This model since it was not produced in 2010. Anything before 2010 does not have the manufacturing date on it. But that pretty much is all for the review of the plane. So unlike lots of other A340 models and A330 models as well, the landing gear on this one, the nose gear is not really wobbly. Sometimes the nose gear on the A340 and A330 models can be sort of wobbly, but on this model, fortunately, it is not. So moving on from the plane to the first models for the vehicles. So the stair truck, pretty much just like how it was displayed on the box art image, has the Air Canada logo displayed on the bottom and on the sides, and then has the maple leaf, kind of in more detail than it even was on the plane, on the top portion of the of the stair truck. There's the item number right there, 113, and then Air Canada is displayed on the front of the truck, and then Air Canada logo on the bottom going up along the side, and then the leaf on the top of that as well. The bus was not actually included on the box art image. I kind of forgot about it, but the bus wasn't included on it. It pretty much is all just white and has the Air Canada logo displayed on both sides as well, with the item number on this one being 127. And then all the other details on the bottom of the bus as well. And then on the van and the catering truck are pretty much the same too, between livery design or logo design in general, the Air Canada logos being displayed along the sides, and no other details pretty much along the entire vehicle. The van is just all white. You see the interior as well, and then same thing with the catering truck, except it has Air Canada displayed on the front of that as well, and the sticker on the back are pretty much on the main part of the catering truck. So that pretty much is all for the review of this playset. So between all 7 Air Canada models, the only ones I'm sure about, I know I have 5 of them. I still haven't been able to get the updated version of the newer livery of the 777. I'm not sure if this model is fully painted, the one that the Realtoy had updated, but I definitely know the cabin is, the main fuselage of the plane is fully painted. I'm not sure if the tail is painted or not, or is just a sticker, but kind of would make sense that it would be painted because all what's on it is pretty much just the Air Canada logo, and really no other details that need to be used as a sticker. So, but hopefully I will be able to get the model as well. I'll have to check to see. I'm not sure. I don't think I have the other mint green 777, but I'll have to check my collection and see if I do have it or not. But so that pretty much is all for today's video. So thank you all so much for watching, and let me know down in the comments what you guys' opinions are on this particular Air Canada Realtoy model. And thank you all once again. Thank you all so much for watching, and please remember to like and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.